One video, minimum, every week, 2019. Haters will say this is fake. Most fans also, but it ain't. It's the true. Test, test. What it do, fams? We're doing some blacksmith forging again today. It's the day after Christmas, doing pretty okay. Not feeling super great. A little nice and chubby from those Christmas dinners. What do we got here? Some 5160 spring steel. This is gonna be the first time that I've worked with spring steel at all. I don't even know if I've actually seen anybody work with spring steel. I don't know if you can forge. Yeah, you can forge spring steel, come on, what are you talking about? We've got some 12-inch lengths, about a 1/4 inch thick, maybe 1.5 inches wide. Yeah, that's probably all I gotta tell you. Let's just get to work. I definitely think I'm getting better at striking true, not putting all those dents into the material. It's pretty funny, before I didn't even know that that was a thing you look out for. I thought it was just a given that your material would be all dented up and you just had to grind it out. No, I think this is coming out pretty good. So for the matter of this little dent in the back here that melted out, I'm thinking I'm probably gonna grind this part right here down as much as I can without it looking weird. And then I might just fill that in with epoxy when I put the handle on, and you're just not really gonna notice that on the outside. And then for the blade up here, I think I'm going to grind in from the back and bring that to a point. I'll grind a little bit so that I don't have to grind way too much off the back, but yeah, just barely a little bit off the front edge, and then the majority of that is gonna come off the back to bring it to a really nice point. Let me compare it to one of the unaltered pieces so you can see the changes that I made. Look at that. That is not bad, huh? Yeah, I'm proud of that. That's cool. I'm getting better at forging. All right, so we're gonna get some of that good grinding done. But somebody mentioned in the comments of one of the previous videos, I don't remember which one, but they said that if I take off the forging scale with a flap disc on an angle grinder first, then this grinding is gonna go a lot faster. So I'm gonna give that a shot. Anything to make this grinding go a little bit faster. Oh shoot, I forgot. I got a little impatient while I was forging. I wanted to be able to hold this thing and see how it felt, so I actually quenched it in water just so that it would cool down faster. So this thing's probably really hard right now. I think I still gotta normalize this thing. Ain't that a squish? Look at this. Just look at this. I had this knife all set up to hit it with the blowtorch. I come in here to get the torch, and I find that some creepy critter has had himself a nice tasty meal of my propane hose. But I'm also an entire idiot, so I didn't have the valve closed, so all the propane just leaked out, so I gotta get another propane tank too. I did consider the option of maybe just firing up the forge again and trying to heat it up in there, but as you can see from pretty much all the footage of the forging itself, I can't really heat up large portions of the metal. Like, I wouldn't get an even heat at all. All I can really do is heat up small portions of the metal. I'll be back. So this was the big day. I got to Home Depot and apparently those hoses are online order only. So I had to buy a whole entire other torch. The hose was like $15 if you order it online, but then the entire torch set is 45 bucks. Old Eli would have been like, oh yeah, I could take the next 3 days off and wait for a hose to show up. New Eli, don't do that. Ugh. So I gotta go unwrap this new torch. BRB. Oh well, at least now that it's darker, you'll be able to see the glow better. Me too. Oh, I forgot how cool these things are. Dang it. Looks pretty normal to me. Cool, we got it all normalized, nice and softened up. Oh wow, so soft. Guys, if you have never slept a single night on a piece of normalized steel, you don't know what you're missing. Whoa, that was close, I almost fell asleep. Okay, let's get down to business. Now for real, we're gonna clamp it up and take off all that forged scale. Clamp it up by the handle, grind on this side, and then I'll whip it around and grind on the other side. I guess I didn't notice while it was still all scaly, but I definitely did not do as good of a job on the handle as I did on the blade. This looks like freaking my face when I was 16. Oh well, guess it's getting covered up by a handle. I'm still obviously gonna try to get it as good looking as I can, but I'm not gonna spend like days of my life trying to get this part perfectly smooth when it's just gonna get covered up by a couple of pieces of wood. There definitely were a couple of spots where I was like, ooh, that would be pretty tough if I was just going at that with the belt sander. So fingers crossed, maybe this is truly the way. Dang, this side's definitely rougher than the other side. Oh, holy mackerel. This part's crazy rough. This looks like one of those restoration channels, huh? This looks like something I found in an ancient crypt. Man, I hope this works. That looks like about all the scale I'm gonna get off of it. I mean, it doesn't look great. These things usually look like trash when you're first starting out though, right? It's been a while since I did any forging. I don't really remember if they usually look this bad. Whatever, this is a restoration channel now, guys. Thank you guys so much for supporting me in my new pursuits and my new restoration channel. All right, now we're gonna do the profile grind. This is where you're shaping out the outline of the knife. See what I mean? Now the flap disc on the angle grinder is good to get the bulk of the shaping done, but to get like an actual nice flat surface, I'm gonna have to use the belt sander. So I'm gonna do the rest of this stuff with the flap disc, and then I'm just gonna run over it with the belt sander. And now is where I'm cutting off this little hoof. So I'm just using this file as a straight edge, line it up with the rest of the steel. There we go. See, that's definitely more the shape of the knife that I wanted. When it's like curved back like that and it's got that weird little piratey look. I don't know, maybe one day if I was trying to do that, I would like it, but that's not what I wanted for this knife. So I'm gonna cut this out now. that boy clean. Look at it. I mean, it's about to get cleaner. All this hoopla is gonna get covered up by the handle. This is gonna come out when I do the bevel. Oh, I forgot. This looked already so good that I forgot that I was gonna go to a higher grit. Or how does that work? Because the grittier it is, the lower that number is. So am I going to a higher grit or a lower? I'm gonna put on a belt that is less scratchy. Surprisingly, even though I used 26 grit, this is actually pretty smooth. I think because I was going pretty light on it. So I'm gonna go straight to, what is this? 80 grit. And this should actually be pretty quick. There we go. Very nice. Holy moly, check this out. Oh, shout out caliper guy who sent me calipers. By the way, this is my P.O. box for people who want to send me stuff to be in the next alpha mail. Look at this, watch. Almost exactly 2, what is that, centimeters? 2 units of measurement. And this drill bit here is also exactly 2 thingies, which means that this drill bit is going to be the perfect specimen for marking out the bevel line on the front. All right, here's how we do this. Get yourself a flat surface, like for example, the earth, wake up sheeple, or this piece of plywood. I'm gonna use this here Sharpie. Should I use black or red? You know, maybe there would be more contrast between black and the steel color. And look at that, it stands up on its spine. This knife is turning out pretty good. And we're going to scribble the heck all over the front. Now that we have that, we take the drill bit and we lay it flat on the surface and we scrape a line into the ink. Now, just in case there's some inconsistencies in the thickness of the knife, I'm also going to flip it over on the other side and scrape here so that if the thickness of the knife does vary, then we'll have 2 lines and we'll at least know that the center in between those 2 lines is the center. Why do I smell cat pee? All right, let's do this bevel. Oh wait, I forgot. I wanted to do something cool. I forgot what the heck this is called, where they got this little thing. Apparently it makes the sharpening easier, maybe so that you just know for sure where the edge of the blade ends. I would imagine that also helps if you're like slicing into things, it'll just like stop it right there. I'm not really sure, but I wanted to do it on this thing. So all right. Oh wait, you guys gotta see it? Ugh, nosy. I'll move the camera, I guess. Oh, that's crisp, look at that. I think that looks practically good. Yeah, that's decent. All right, guys, time to reveal some rare footage. Never before seen footage of Eli standing up his belt sander. Oh my God, I don't believe it. This is my first time ever doing a bevel this way, so I actually have no clue if it's gonna work. I have this piece of a 2x4 that I've cut an angle into. It's a 10-degree angle. I cut it on the table saw. I'm gonna use this as a jig to do the bevel. Literally no clue if this is gonna work. This could just ruin the whole entire thing, but it's a learning experience, all right? I will know to never freaking do this again. Oh, please God, let this work. I don't wanna do this whole thing over again. I will, I know that I can, but I really don't wanna do the whole thing over again. Here we go. All right, before I could cause any irreparable damage, I went online and found somebody who actually knew what they're doing, your boy Trollski, and I learned how to make an actual jig. It's just this block of wood. It's like maybe 1.5 inches of oak, and then you put a screw into it. I used a lag bolt. You drill the hole small enough that it's a really snug fit in there so that you can adjust the height of the angle, and yeah, you just clamp the blade onto it like that, and you'll hopefully get a better result than this. Yeah, hopefully this damage isn't irreparable. I'm trying to make this thing nice as heck. Ooh, you guys are about to see something really, really nice. Here, let's give this jig a whirl. Jig a whirl. Already just looking at it, I'm like so much less stressed. No, the footage, it got corrupted. Oh, dang it, right when I was trying to edit another grinding montage that I really wanted to do, and now I can't even do it. Dang it. Well, everything happens for a reason. You know, hopefully next time I can edit 100 grinding montages. That would be epic. Alrighty fellas, those are some clean bevels. Now we're gonna do the last few alterations to the steel while it's still soft, and then we can do the heat treat. What I'm doing right now is cutting the little shelf for the brass collar guard thing. Yes, I'm doing a brass guard, my first time ever. A lot of firsts for this episode. No! I'm just kidding, I like angle grinding. Alright, checking for consistency to make sure that this line that I cut lines up with the back edge. Perf. Alright, let me show you. Alright, here's the little shelf that the brass is going to rest on. The key thing that you have to remember is that because we're not doing a hidden tang, we do have to give special attention to make sure that the brass is able to fit over the end of the tang. So we'll take our measurement, and then we come over here, and if it can pass through, then the brass will be able to fit on. Good. Now, for the brass. Alright, here's the abridged version, because there's like 3 or 4 hours of footage that I could show to you, but that would be completely uninteresting. Believe. So here's the plan. I says to myself, I'm gonna use some MAP gas, because MAP gas burns at a temperature of 3,670 degrees, and brass melts at a temperature of 1,720 degrees, so I figured that's probably enough. I'm sitting there and I'm sitting probably 20 minutes, and it didn't do nothing. But then I get this other idea. I'm like, oh, you know, it'd be cool if I went and I got a MAP gas and oxygen torch, because that'd be like way hotter. And then I went and I got that. That was $60, and it didn't do nothing. So I gave up and I went outside and I put it in the furnace, and I completely nuked it with the giant propane torch. And I sat there and it got so freaking hot that the brass was glowing green. And I poured it out, and it looked like a little piece of gum. No brass guard for tonight, but I know it can be done. I've seen Chandler do it before, and it was pretty successful. So just give me a little more time. Test. Okay, it's the next day. I used a couple of boxes of fire bricks. I slapped together this, I don't know if you could even call it a furnace, but it's more of just like a little room to like direct and reflect the heat. This should be a lot more effective than just pointing the torch straight at the knife. Now, as possibly unnecessary as this might be, I have a really huge fear that I'm gonna quench it and then it's just gonna like go boing, and it's gonna look like a parenthesis, or that it'll just straight up snap in half when I try to quench it. So I'm gonna run maybe 3 normalizing cycles, meaning I'm gonna heat it up a little past cherry red, and then I'm gonna let it cool down, and then heat it up again, let it cool down. Do that like 3 times. The steel should be normal as heck after that, and then I'll be ready to quench it. Let's do this. Okay, now I'm gonna let that cool down completely. We'll be ready for the quench. This here is just some regular motor oil. This is what I'm gonna do the quench with. And this is a drywalling mud tray. When it heats up, the tray gets a little soft and it starts kind of like flexing outwards, so I put a couple of bricks on the sides. It'll help it keep its shape. And this oil is likely gonna go up in flames, so make sure you got something around that you can use to cover it up. Okay, here we go. I always get kind of nervous right about now. A lot of stuff could go wrong. Сука, блядь! I feel like a Vietnamese kid roasting a big black marshmallow. Man, I hope that did it. It did kind of look like it cooled down some before I dunked it, huh? I hope that was enough. I'll go grab a file, we'll give it a test. I don't know, man, it feels kind of soft. Let's give it another shot. Buy some merch. Buy some merch. Buy some merch. I'm not joking. Buy some merch. Alright, that one looked good. The blade is still perfectly straight. That should be it, ladies and gentlemen. And it was. It was the perfect quench. The blade was as hard as possible, and I forgot to record the file test on camera because I am not an intelligent individual. Sorry. Now while I'm out, I'm going to be tempering the blade. While a super hard knife sounds like a really good thing, you don't want it to be way too hard. Otherwise, it's almost like glass. It's really brittle. It'll snap if you try to cut anything. And especially with a spring steel where you want it to be able to flex without taking damage, tempering is completely necessary. If you're doing it how I'm doing it here, where the blade still has oil on it, then you're probably going to want to use a toaster oven that you don't really eat out of, like this one. This one's trash. All right, so I've set it to 375. I'm going to turn this on. Take note of what time it is right now. It's 3:33. So I'm going to take it out at about 4:30. See you guys in a minute. This heat treat is absolutely perfect. This thing is going to be beyond razor sharp when I'm finished with it. So I'm going to clean this up and we're going to call it a night. Sound good? Shoot, I forgot. I'm used to not worrying about how hot the blade is getting. All right, that's probably 200 degrees, 250 maybe. That'll be fine. You know, it's 6 o'clock. I'm gonna head inside and edit, and I'm gonna see if I can get this video uploaded tonight. That'd be pretty crazy, huh? I got church in the morning though, so I can't be up till 1,000,000,000 o'clock, but we'll see what happens. We did make a lot of good progress this video. You can't deny that. All right, I'm dirty again. Sorry, so sorry. But it's turned out freaking sweet. I think that concludes part 2. That's all I got for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Pretty soon, actually. Guys, I lied. I'm sorry. LGBT doesn't stand for let's get this bread. It stands for let's get this brass. I refuse to believe that I can't melt a bunch of little screws inside a black pipe cap and pour it into a muffin tray. And if anyone ever tells you that you can't melt a bunch of little screws and pour it in a muffin tray, tell them, man, shut up. Only God and anime can judge me. So LGBT, guys, let's get this brass. All right, we're doing this old school, fellas. I don't got time to be messing around with all that propane. We're doing this on the charcoal forge. I just have a couple of 2x4s in there. Once those are all burned out, then the forge should be heated up, and then I'm gonna add the brass. The other thing that we're doing different this time is I'm adding borax to prevent the brass from oxidizing, getting all crispy and chunky. Here's the form that we're gonna be using. It's some little, what would you call that? I don't know. It reminds me of the little biscuits from Boston Market. Little muffins. It's like a square muffin tray. I don't eat carbs anymore, so I make tiny meatloafs in there. I have a feeling I'm not gonna be able to make tiny meatloafs in there after this, though. Okay, the main struggle is gonna be making sure that that cap thing doesn't tip over. Second struggle is going to be knowing really when to add the borax. I don't really have any idea. All right, we'll add the new charcoal to it. We're going to let it burn a hole into that, and then we're going to put the crucible into the hole. All right, that looks good. If it can stay upright, I think we'll be good. And if I can figure out when to put the borax in. I do see some smoke already coming out of the crucible. That might just be the oils burning off of it, though. I'm still amazed by how much heat you can get out of just some charcoal and a hairdryer. This is crazy. I don't know if I'm gonna screw this up, but it kind of seems like those bolts are getting a little toasty, like they're getting a little burnt. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of borax just to be safe. I don't know. I don't know if this is how you do this. Just to be safe, though. It's a learning experience. LGBT, LGBT. I have the hairdryer set to low, by the way. This isn't even as high as it goes. I'm just trying to heat this up really, really gradually because that black pipe cap is actually pretty thick. I don't want to start melting the outside of it before the inside of it even starts heating up. Oh, it's starting to turn red. The cap is starting to turn red. I got a good feeling, guys. I really do. Oh boy, it's melting. Oh shoot, it's working. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yes. Wow, it's actually working super good. Oh shoot. Borax, borax. Oh my gosh, it's working. Holy moly, it's working. Wait, it's kind of bubbling. I don't think it's supposed to do that. I don't think it's supposed to boil. Oh snap. Liquid brass. Oh snap. Gotta move the camera. Oh boy, here we go, guys. Here we go. LGBT, LGBT. Holy moly, look at that. Oh my gosh. Guys, that looks like a brass ingot. Oh my gosh, guys, I think it worked. I'm gonna grab it right now. I'm just kidding. Guys, I think we freaking did it. I'm pumped and jazzed at the same time. That was crazy how quick it happened. Like, I mean, the whole process kind of took longer than I thought it was going to. That was probably like heating up for 20-25 minutes, but then just like within a minute all the screws just like melted down. Aside from like the layer of borax on it, the brass itself actually looks pretty clean. Like, it's super shiny in there. The borax really took it to like a whole new level. I was like trying to scrape slag off the top of it because I thought, you know, there would be some. There's like really none at all. Dude, that is a piece of brass in there. Now I got to keep the forge going because once I take that out, it's not going to be perfectly smooth. I have to actually forge it out a little bit, just flatten it a little bit with a hammer, and then I can sand it down on the belt sander. And that is when we're going to have our workable piece of brass that we can use for the guard on the knife. Ladies and gentlemen, we have brass. All right, it's actually a pretty good thing that it's getting dark out. I'll be able to see the color change from the heat on the brass a lot better, so I can be extra careful not to overheat it. I'm also not gonna just like drop it in the fire and leave it there. I'm gonna be kind of roasting it like a marshmallow, just so that I have complete control of the heat, because, you know, now that I got this thing, I really don't want to lose it. That is shaping up nicely. Man, that is freaking cool. Like, I kind of always knew that it was gonna work, but I'm still like super surprised that it worked. I don't really know how to explain what I am right now. I'm just oh, glad that it worked. Does that work? All right, if your boy was doing a remotely reasonably sized knife, I'd probably be able to cut this billet this way and have a couple of pieces. But considering the absolute size of this lad, I'm gonna have to cut it the long way, but that's okay. I'm gonna make my next knife's guard out of copper. This was actually just a test. Like, actually being successful was a total bonus. Of course, I'm gonna use it. File's getting it smooth. Gotta clean up the knife before I can do anything with the brass. It should take like 5 seconds. Really quick, something that just happened that was kind of cool. Being a little teeny bit afraid that that little tiny overheating with the belt sander might have messed with the heat treat a little bit. Here I was trying to smooth out the back of it with this file. This is like a $10 file. It's a pretty good one. Down here by the handle, it's taken some pretty good dust off, but then when I got higher, look at that. It's like an icy surface. Absolutely no effect on it. This thing is heat treated as a mother hecker. I mentioned that problem with the belt sander where once you get past about this point right here, then this part of the knife starts bumping up against the edge of the belt sander, and that was pretty much the whole entire reason why this was not a very good knife making belt sander. So somebody suggested that I put a ceramic tile on here to elevate the grinding surface, and I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good idea. This thing's about 12 inches long, about 4 inches wide. Maybe I'll go to Home Depot, find a 12 by 12 and be able to cut it down. Nope, they actually sell 4x12 ceramic tile. It's even just a little bit short on both sides, so that new bend in the belt is not gonna be way too drastic. So this is just freaking sick. The bomb, if you will. I am thinking I'm probably gonna have to modify the platform to account for the new height of the grinding surface. So I'm gonna use a little bit of spray adhesive to fix this thing down. Give that a little bit of time to set up, and then we're gonna work on the platform. All right, let's give our belt sander mod a whirl. I would call that a success. And now that I got this thing all modded up, I'm gonna see if I can actually fix that part on the bevel that I messed up before. That's what happens when you try to get all the way up there with an unmodded belt sander and it starts bumping up against the plate. So we'll see if we can work that out. All right, to mark out where I'm gonna be drilling and cutting, I got some Dicom layout fluid. Now, some people out there might be thinking, Eli, you just got that from Alex Steele. Okay, well, explain to me exactly how I could be copying Alex Steele when I got red layout fluid. NANI? Checkmate, atheists. Man, this stuff's pretty, dude. I mean, that looks sick, bro. But wait a minute, come on. Come on, Eli, what are you thinking? What did Gillette just teach you? Cut it out with that toxic masculinity. I'm sorry, guys, I didn't mean to be so toxic masculinity. All right, I think I gotta wait for like 10 minutes for that to dry? All right, I think it's dry. So I measure the width of this thing and I will scribe across. Okay, now I'll measure the thickness and I will scribe the center line, and then hopefully better than I did, you scribe out the width of the blade. Okay, now the closest bit to the width of the blade that I could find is this 7/32. It's a little short, but that's actually okay. Same. So I'm going to use this punch that a subscriber sent to me for alpha male, thank you very much. And I'm going to lay out the startings of all of the holes I'm going to drill. Weirdest thing ever, literally no clue why. But suddenly after, what, near a week of the power being out, for no reason at all, it just comes back on. That was like 30 minutes ago, so I guess I'm gonna be able to use my drill press after all. It's almost like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, maybe God himself has me on a mission to make a really cool knife? Or maybe something like that. I don't know, I'll stop now before I think of any really grandiose theories. You can see pretty obviously right here where those two holes were a little bit off. I don't really think that'll show much though. All right, I've cleared it out enough that I can fit a decent sized file in there. And I can get to work flattening this out. Try not to get satisfied challenge 2019. It seems like there's always going to be something to prevent me from doing my work. All I really wanted to do today was finish up this knife, get the handle done, but I don't really know how I'm going to be able to do that while, you know, the sides of my head are this cold. I got a haircut today. Now I don't have little pieces of hair on the sides of my head to keep my head warm. Like, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I could go and get a beanie, I guess, but it wouldn't even say heck on it. So I don't know, guys. I guess I'll have to finish this next summer. Sorry. I'll see you then. Hey, what's this? What is this, some kind of like a box or something? I've never seen a box before. What is this? It's probably not going to be full of anything useful. It's probably just like a vegetable or like a tennis ball or something. I guess I'll open it up. Whoa, no way, guys. It's a heck beanie. That's epic. Guys, I didn't even plan this. Guys, I didn't even plan this. This is so cool. Whoa, I didn't even notice these ones in here. I just saw the beanie. Dude, we got a heck snapback with a sticker on there so you can leave it on there and be a really dumb looking guy. We got a trucker hat with the mesh back, and my personal favorite, we got the dad cap, the bread and butter of the channel with the brass clip on the back. That's epic. As you can see, all the new hats come with the new bold lettering in comparison to the more modest lettering of the old model. Guys, this is awesome. I'm so glad I'm finally going to be able to finish this knife. And if any of you guys have found yourself in a similar situation where you just really want to finish a knife, but the sides of your head right here are just way too cold, but you also don't want to wear a regular beanie because it doesn't even say heck on it. Rumor has it, I don't really remember what it was called. It was like teespring.com/stores/alpha-armory or something weird like that. I don't know, the link is probably in the description. You can get your own heck beanie and you can finally have warm sides of your head to be able to finish a knife. So LGBT guys, let's finish this knife. Okay, here's my big brain solution for soldering the guard without messing with the heat treat of the blade. I'm going to submerge the blade in water, keep it standing up with this clamp right here, and that should keep the heat from traveling down the blade when I heat up the guard and that. What do they call that? The tang? And yeah, I'm gonna use some flux and some solder, and I'm gonna use a MAP gas torch to heat it up. Should be fun. Let's do it. What have I done? All right, as ugly as that process was, I actually got it cleaned up pretty good. Let me tell you, dude, that thing is fixed on there like no other. I always thought of solder as like a pretty soft substance. I never understood why you would solder a piece of brass onto a knife. But, you know, thinking about it now, I guess there is a pretty big difference between, you know, clipping a little piece of brass and the actual tearing of the brass that you would have to do in order to get this thing off, or in order for this thing to be broken off. Either way, that is not coming off anytime soon. I have to go eat about a pound of steak. I'll be back. All right, so pretty much everything I've done for this video so far, this build has been a first, so I might as well try a brand new type of wood for the handle. I'm gonna use alder today. Not for any particular reason, just trying something new. From what I've seen online with pictures of people who use it for knife handles, it's just a really good, strong hardwood. It stains really well, so we're gonna give it a shot and see how well it does. But actually, what I'm gonna do first is, just to save me a lot of time with the sanding and everything, I'm gonna do a rough trace of the handle onto the wood, and I'm gonna cut this out on my bandsaw. I'm actually going to stick to the outside of the mark and the funky bunch. What the heck? Cutting along the outside edge just to leave some extra play in there so that I've got extra material to work with around the sides. All right, now I know you guys can't stand the unlit drill press, so I didn't put you through that, but I drilled the holes through the scales. They fit the brass pins pretty dang nice. So now I'm gonna do the epoxy fitting. Gotta mix it up, spread it all over the scales really fast, get them on and get the pins through there and put the clamps on it. All in under 5 minutes, so, you know, it's a race against the clock. Let's do this. This stuff's super cold. This is not gonna spread well. It's too cold, the epoxy's frozen. You know what, guys, I've worked way too hard on this to ruin it with a bad epoxy mix. I think I'm actually gonna have to scrap this, and I'm gonna warm this up so that it can actually be liquidy and be able to spread well. Otherwise, I could totally just screw this whole thing over. So it's a sad waste of this much epoxy, but at least I'm not wasting the whole entire knife. You win some, you lose some. All right, we got the epoxy nice and free-flowing. Look at that. I just set it in front of the space heater for a little while. Okay, the work time for this epoxy is about 5 minutes, but I decided to give it until the next day just to make sure that everything is completely set up. Now I'm going to use some wire cutters and trim off the ends of these brass pins. Now we can get to work with the belt sander. Okay, now what we're doing is shaving down all of the edges till we get to the bare metal. Obviously, this is just a lot of epoxy on the sides, and we want the tang to be showing. Now that we got the sides perfectly flattened out, then we can just slide this around on the plate. And I'm actually going to adjust the path of the belt so that there's just a little bit of that ceramic tile showing right here, so that the belt doesn't run all the way up against the brass and kind of rub it down. I'm gonna go in with like a little file or that belt file sander to do the really precision work. You don't want to do precision stuff on a large-ish belt sander like this. Snap, guys, we're getting close. Now we're doing the final shaping of the guard. We're kind of rounding out these edges. And then the only thing we got left to do is the sharpening, the staining, and the coating of the handle. We're freaking done. This has been one heckin' pleasant experience, guys. If this is just how it is to make YouTube videos, I'm into this. I could keep this up for a while. Let's do this. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's looking like we're ready for the pre-stain. This isn't the stain itself. This is a little something that helps the stain absorb a lot better. Now, before you apply this, oh man, that already looks so good. Oh boy, I'm so happy with the way this is turning out. But anyways, before you apply the pre-stain, you really have to clean off the wood really well. The better you can clean the wood, the better the handle's gonna look in the end. It all depends on how much work you want to put into it. All right, this guy is pretty well pre-stained. Man, that already looks so good. That looks so good. Go back to the shop cleaning video. We're using this Jacobian 2750. This is a brand new stain. I've never used this before. This is a brand new type of wood that I've never used before. Let's see how the heck this turns out in 15 minutes. And now the moment I've all been waiting for. For ladies and gentlemen, we have color. I can't tell you if I'm intoxicated by how great this handle looks or if it's just the fumes making me dizzy, but let me tell you, I think it's the fumes. All right, after 3 coats, it doesn't seem to look all that much different than after the first coat, but maybe the change was just so gradual that I didn't even notice it. But either way, it's time to put an end to this handle. And for that, we're gonna use some boiled linseed oil. This is a classic knife maker favorite method of finishing handles. It really brings out the color of whatever stain that you used, or if you just want to use this on bare wood, it really brings out the color and the wood grain, and you can see it makes the brass nice and shiny too. But from what I've heard, another huge plus of using boiled linseed oil as opposed to something like polyurethane is that polyurethane, apparently, I've never experienced this on my own, but apparently polyurethane coats are a lot more prone to giving you blisters when you're using that handle for an extended period of time. I've personally never experienced that, but you know, I guess I don't really use knives all that much. 3 coats later, that is just wonderful, and man is that comfortable. Now it's finally time to remove the tape and get the sharpening done. Legend tells of a knife so incredibly strong that you can literally cut a piece of computer paper and it won't even break the knife in half. So let's see if my knife has achieved that legendary status. Wow, guys, that's epic. Sorry, I think there's something wrong with this computer paper. Oh yeah. Well, there you go, guys. There it is. What an honor to be the one person to create the strongest knife in the world. Now, you know what? I'll hack through a piece of that alder. Remember, this is hardwood. It's not like a 2x4 that's made of pine. So even though it is thinner, there's still definitely potential to mess up the edge. Is that better than just the paper test? Probably. All right, we can be real here. No false modesty either. Maybe a few good camera angles and stuff can make this thing seem a lot more impressive than it really is. But by global standards, clearly this isn't like this wouldn't turn your head at a knife expo. But by ZNA standards, especially over the last couple of years, this is probably the nicest thing that I've made in the last couple of years, if not ever. If this is literally just the starting point of this next year, I'm very optimistic going into 2019 and 2020. If we can maintain this quality and this upload schedule, I think the channel's got a really, really bright future. I'm really glad that you guys are enjoying this format. But that's about all I got for today, guys. I got a whole lot of editing to do. Thank you all very, very much for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.